Chapter 1. Living with PTSD, the struggle to reclaim myself. PTSD is a storm. It's unpredictable, overwhelming, and at times all-consuming. When it entered my life, it wasn't with a loud crash, but a quiet unraveling. Every day felt like walking a tightrope, trying to appear calm and collected while my mind raced with anxiety and self-doubt. The weight of invisible pain. As a nail technician, I had mastered the art of making others feel polished and confident. Clients came in stressed, and I prided myself on creating an oasis for them, a place where they could unwind, even if only for an hour. But behind my professional demeanor, I was crumbling. PTSD has a way of creeping into everything. For me, it wasn't just the flashbacks or the heightened anxiety. It was the way it made ordinary tasks feel insurmountable. A small mistake, smudged polish, or a difficult client could send my thoughts spiraling. You're not good enough. Why can't you handle this? These whispers became my constant companions, eroding my confidence and joy. Isolation followed. I withdrew from friends and colleagues, afraid they wouldn't understand, or worse, would see me as weak. I pretended to be fine, wearing a mask of competence while feeling disconnected from the very things I once loved. The tipping point. The breaking point wasn't a dramatic event. It was a slow accumulation of moments where I felt like I was failing myself. I remember one day in particular. I had an early client, someone I admired for her kindness and warmth. As I worked on her nails, she looked at me and said, "You look tired. Are you okay?" Her words hit me like a wave. I wanted to brush them off, but instead, I froze. In that moment, I realized how much of my life I had spent hiding. The fear, the anxiety, the constant exhaustion, I could no longer ignore them. That day, something shifted. I didn't know how to fix what I was feeling, but I knew I had to try. I owed it to myself to stop pretending and start reclaiming my life. The impact of PTSD on my work and life. Living with PTSD wasn't just about managing emotions. It was about surviving the disconnect it created between me and the world around me. At work, it manifested as perfectionism. I would obsess over tiny details, fearing that a single flaw would confirm my deepest fears about inadequacy. Outside of work, I avoided social situations, even with close friends. I told myself it was easier to stay home, to avoid questions or comments that might trigger my anxiety. But in truth, I longed for connection. I missed the ease of meaningful conversations, the comfort of laughter shared with people who cared about me. PTSD made everything feel heavy. Tasks that once brought joy, like designing intricate nail art or planning a weekend outing, became sources of stress. My world grew smaller, my days lonelier, and my heart heavier. The spark of hope. In the midst of this darkness, there were glimmers of light, moments that reminded me I wasn't alone, that healing was possible. A client's casual story about mindfulness planted a seed. A friend's unexpected phone call reminded me of the power of connection. These small acts of kindness became my lifeline. They didn't fix everything, but they gave me something I desperately needed: hope. Steps toward reclaiming myself. Healing didn't happen overnight. It began with tiny steps, each one feeling monumental at the time. 1. Seeking help. Therapy was the first real step. It wasn't easy to open up about the things I'd kept hidden, but it was liberating to finally have a space where I could be honest without fear of judgment. 2. Embracing mindfulness. I started practicing mindfulness, even in the smallest ways. Breathing exercises helped me ground myself during moments of overwhelm. Journaling became a nightly ritual, a way to process my thoughts and emotions. 3. Reconnecting with what I loved. Tennis, a sport I had always enjoyed, became my sanctuary. The rhythm of the game, the focus it required, reminded me of the peace I could find in movement and flow. 4. Allowing myself to feel. For so long, I had pushed my emotions aside, thinking that ignoring them would make them go away. Learning to sit with my feelings, to name them and accept them, was one of the hardest but most transformative parts of my journey. Lessons from the storm. PTSD taught me more about myself than I ever expected. It showed me my strength, not in avoiding pain, but in facing it. It taught me that vulnerability isn't a weakness, but a gateway to connection. And most importantly, it reminded me that healing is a process, one that requires patience, persistence, and love. Takeaways for the reader. 1. Acknowledge your struggles. The first step to healing is admitting that something isn't right. You don't have to face it alone. Seek support from friends, family, or professionals. 2. Find your anchors. Whether it's a hobby, a routine, or a relationship, find the things that ground you and bring you peace. 3. Be patient with yourself. Healing takes time. Celebrate small victories and remember that progress isn't linear. This chapter can be further personalized with additional stories or reflections. Would you like me to expand on any specific part?